Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're playing some Annihilation Marauder, playing some Arena, and this character is currently undefeated. I do skip a match here, so this is our 6-0, and then the next one will be our 8-0 match. We skipped the 7-0, and the only reason we do that is because there's a pre-made on my team. It just so happens, and there's pre-made on the enemy team. However, one team was so drastically outmatching the other that it was pretty much a freebie. I didn't include that one because I felt like it was not interesting, it was unfun, uncompetitive, and for the most part probably not a fun experience for the enemy team. So with that out of the way, normally I would include in-game audio, but unfortunately it was out of sync with the game, and I don't really feel like lining that up right now. So we're just going to go without in-game audio. Unfortunate. Most of the time my audio is pretty sketchy with game audio. Sometimes the broadcast will, or not broadcast, but the video reflex will usually get the audio, but sometimes it won't. This time it just happened to be out of sync. They ended up getting a tank on the enemy team because somebody didn't accept the pop, so somebody actually backfilled. So immediately we're starting off with a backfill game where they technically have the advantage if they understand how to play correctly. My role here is pretty much only do damage. I don't have pacify anymore. I don't have force choke. I don't have fear. I don't have my old tools basically. So this means not only am I easier target, I'm also not able to peel as much as I would want to. So with that in mind, since we're just relegated to the damage role, the best target for me is the mercenary. Normally I can hit the other targets and it would be good, but because I'm potentially a target, I'm going to be hitting the mercenary, because if I'm hitting something, I'm actually healing, and I'm also shutting down the mercenary's damage. So that's an overall win for me. I ended up getting dotted by the slinger into dot explosion. I hit my Pan just a little bit late there, but for the most part, I wasn't expecting him to immediately open like that on me, but that's okay. I can regain my health for the most part. And also it's kind of like a messy opener on both sides here. I'm not really sure if they knew what they were doing. And pretty much at this point, I'm like, okay, these guys don't really know what they're doing, so I can play a little bit more aggressively. This is why I say, you know, Arena's not actually that competitive, and people that actually try to take it seriously is absolutely wild to me. I really don't understand why people group for this. Most of the time, sure, it could be fun if there's another group, but for the most part, you're just kind of just being mean. At least that's how I feel. Obviously, there can definitely be good matches, so I'm not trying to say that people that group for this are silly. I'm just saying you're like going to win probably 90% of your matches just by default, because this is what you're facing. So why am I hitting the mercenary outside of like damage and sustain? All the other classes are just horrible targets for me. Like hitting a predation saberward marauder, not a good target for me. Hitting evasion on slinger, but slinger just actually countering my class, and I don't have mad dash, not a good target for me. Hitting PT tank, the quite literally counter to white damage, really not a good choice. I'm realizing that I didn't have camera shake off, don't really play Marauder as much, or at least non-Carnage Marauder on this character much. So I'm not really using my smash, so I don't really notice the screen shake, because when I play Assassin, I don't have that. When I'm playing Carnage, I don't have that, because I pretty much never use smash. Now, getting into like how to describe how most people should play this. Let's say if you're not playing Annihilation, I don't recommend Annihilation, by the way, for anybody that wants to play. If you can't do damage on the class and you just don't know how to play Annihilation, don't even bother. This is not a good spec. It's not that great. It can win if you know how to play, but it's really just a role where you have to do damage and perform in damage. If you don't, you pretty much just lose and you're not very useful. You also have to know how to take damage, like soak damage and mitigate damage, and if you don't, you're not going to be very valuable for your team. So your win rate's not going to be very high. You'll be much better off on a lot of the other classes in the game. Typically speaking, if you're going for a melee class, I would recommend lethality because it's very easy to play and it's kind of hard to mess up. You also have the ability to off heal, which is huge. But there is a fine line of focusing too much on off healing when people are not really worth healing, and vice versa. Since I called out Slinger and Timurk, the Slinger is pretty much dead. We have some classes on our team that are not really going to have a issue hitting Slinger, so Slinger is just free. The Sentinel just kind of got hit by random damage and got screwed. So for the most part, you just see I do like 5k HPS. That's nice. That's just because Saber Ward, percent heal, and trying to keep my APM up. Gone are the days that Marauder had a Pacify, Fear, and Choke. Those things could have really changed the outcome of a match, and there was like some skill expression still there for that. I do think the class should get Pacify back. I don't understand why they got rid of it. Also at the same time, I know some people are like, oh, we don't need more accuracy buffs. Well, think of Sniper. Why does Sniper get a yellow and white damage accuracy debuff? That's AoE, mind you. Sure, it goes away when they die, but it is a extremely powerful group utility that they have, and it's not the only one that they have. So I don't really understand the reasoning. So, oh, don't bring more accuracy buffs. I totally agree, but I don't feel like that should have gone away. There's counterplay to the accuracy buff on Marauder. You had to even talent it to get it down to 45 seconds, otherwise it was like a minute, and it only works against white damage, so obviously putting Pacify on a sorcerer or a healer is just not going to do anything at all. However, if they gave us Ruthless Aggressor back, we would at least get the force and attack damage reduction, which would be incredible because we are lacking in that area. But for example, let's say we were playing with all of our abilities here. Fear value on the assassin if he's too greedy on his opener and doesn't pop in immunity. Completely shuts down his 6-second window. Don't want to CC the Juggernauts. I'll be looking at the Sniper to pacify him if he's playing Marksman, but he's not playing Marksman, so don't really worry about that. If the Ascend plays it right, bombs at CC immunity, and is greedy with his Shroud, I can pacify his opener. But that also means that he can Shroud it off. So in that situation, I would probably save it and wait until he takes some damage. Pop Shroud. Once Shroud's over, then I would pacify him. Obviously, he'd pretty much get his opener for free, but then he doesn't have any defensives. Kind of screws him over. But unfortunately, we don't even have that hypothetical scenario anymore. It's not even a thing anymore. So we just go in there, go for the Jug, and we realize the Sniper's not very good. So we go for the Sniper instead. But ultimately, those two classes are the classes that you'll pretty much always focus. Snipers usually just isn't a class that's going to survive. It's good at running, but that's about it. And then Juggernaut doesn't really have an escape, so, or really any mitigation, so it just ends up dying. And then Assassin White can do damage. His durability is just not there, so whenever you have the numbers advantage on an Assassin, they are pretty much screwed. He gets away here. I completely forget that I have Sweeping Slash. Had I remembered. I was thinking I was playing Carnage for a second there, and I tried to hit C, which is my Sweeping Slash for Carnage. Had I remembered, you know, playing Annihilation, it's on its OG keybind for Sweeping Slash, and probably could have pulled him out, but unfortunately I just didn't remember in time. I don't play Annihilation very often, and I don't play Marauder very often because of how pruned it is and how unfun it is to see. Back in the day, there was a lot of tools the class could have, and it was like a lot of niche skill expression, which was quite fun, but I guess Pacify is too like what, diversion or something? I don't know what they're comparing it to, but their reasoning for removing a lot of the abilities was that it's too much like other abilities. Actually, Pacify was completely unique. Undying Rage, completely unique. Mad Dash is the same thing now on Wear. Seems like a basic ability. I don't really see a reason for removing that. Undying, well, not outside of Undying. Fear, I totally agree with. I think that was a justified. I think everybody should lose their mess, and only certain few should have the selection to take it back. I don't think lethality is one of them. I do think the healers are the ones that should have that opportunity. And then for like hard stuns, honestly, I feel like every DPS should have their hard stun back. There's just really no reason for it. Some classes having their hard stun, some other classes not having their hard stun. It's just really silly. Especially as a class that's pure damage. I don't really like that. Either all classes lose it or, you know, everybody gets it. It's one or the other, in my opinion. And it's really silly that it's not that way. Anyway, this match is pretty much over, and neither of these matches were really entertaining, but I figured, you know, hey, I'm on an undefeated streak. I might as well just show you, like, hey, these are the games that I'm getting. These are really boring, not really educational. I can't really teach you anything on this, but I'll try to play some other classes and potentially have more of a opportunity to do that by getting more challenging matches, hopefully. Other than that, if you guys have any questions about Arena or you just need guidance or not sure how to use your defensives, I do have a guide for that. I have it dedicated for both 8v and 4v4. So that would be a good first step. Other than that, catch you guys again later.